Ender, you there? Can we hear your
This is
voices?
Ballard doing an audio test. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Sound good.
And this is Ender doing a audio test.
Cool. Starlet, can you give me another one?
Testing. Hello, how are you today?
Doing
you
well.
having a good
Seeing
day?
good levels from both of you all. Everyone in chat, can you hear us okay tonight? Audio sounds good. I know Reese or Bingo will probably chime in quickly. Okay, I got a Yeppers. I'm going to reading you loud and clear. Great. All right, everyone. We are going to mute back up and we are going to be going live in probably about 20 seconds. So stand by. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Starjump Station, the first episode of the new year. Hopefully, everyone in chat can hear us, and I have not started the show with a technical difficulty as I usually do. I am 1/3 of Starjump. I am your host, Grim. With me, as always, let's see if I can get the pointing right. Yep, Ender's over here, and Starlet's down here. How are you two doing?
Hi, everyone.
Are we muted, or is that a joke? Can everyone hear us? We should be. Am I
No,
muted?
we're not muted.
Nope,
We're
we're
not
good.
muted.
Okay.
Somebody's just being a jerk.
I
Not our
blame
guy.
Driz. I don't know if she has anything to do with it, but I blame her.
Wow.
Ender, how have you been? How's your week been? How was your
I'm wonderful.
holidays? Tell
They
Driz
were
she's
good.
fired. She's our behind-the-scenes producer and is now fired.
Oh, jeez.
Ender, how was your holiday? How was your week?
They were good. Week's been pretty good. Work was hell on earth, but hey, we're here. I had a guy show up to work drunk. That was cool.
Awesome.
But my wife has started painting, doing her thing with that while the holidays were on, and she is doing very good at that. So she's painting Star Citizenships like this.
Hold it a little closer to camera now.
Let's get it up there.
Oh yeah, look at that.
For the detail, gotta
nice.
get the detail on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Too close.
So Driz is streaming now, doing some artworks.
She is.
Do we have Driz's channel up in the chat?
We do.
Okay, we'll post that.
There it is.
There you go.
And she's currently working on a Saber Raven
Yeah.
for everybody. Just hold that up there. So
go give her some support, some follows, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. She's part of the Starjump fam.
She will be streaming tomorrow, I believe. So
cool. Starlet, how was your week? How was your holidays and all that good stuff?
Yeah, good. Gosh, back into work this week. So yeah, it all kind of sped up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Really full on right now already, but that's okay. Um, yeah, it's been good. Although the Star Citizen world seems quite quiet right now,
it
so
does. Yeah.
hopefully when CIG come back and they'll fire up the engines again and things will get moving.
Have you been playing any Star Citizen over the break?
I have not.
Yeah.
I spent way too much of my spare time in Second Life.
What about you, Ender? I know that you've been streaming quite a bit. You also just
Yeah,
pimped out our Starjump emotes down there. Nice job. Been playing a lot of Star Citizen, I think, right?
I have. I have. Jumptown and Ninetales has been lucrative. And I've been enjoying helping people like Hangry Sarah lock down Jumptown. So it's been
Nice.
nice getting some combat in.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been mostly doing cargo missions myself, not even the medical missions. I did a few of those. I think there's one at like Crew L5 or something like that, right? Either way, I did one of those one night. Did pretty decent. But I've just been doing a lot of just regular cargo missions, Laranite, titanium, just whatever I can find, and I've been hauling pretty good in the C2. I've almost been doing it just as like a meditative practice, though, not even to make money. Like I've got all the money I need in game currently right now, so I really just do it to have almost the meditative experience of taking cargo from one place to another. But yeah, my holidays were good, pretty busy. Obviously, many of our Starjump fans know that we are working on the Fleet Viewer project, so that's been a major thing I've been doing over the holiday break. If you follow the Starjump Twitter, you've probably seen me post previews here and there. So been getting a great reaction to that. What else has been going on? I think we did a Chronicles record night not too long ago. That was fun. Yeah,
We
that's
did
been about
indeed.
it. It's been a busy Christmas though for us, me and my family. But glad to get back to doing
Yeah.
some Starjump Station. And then, like you said, Starlet, it is pretty quiet right now, and that is typically how it happens in CIG land. I think they're either just getting back to the office or are yet to get fully
I think they
back
come
up to
back on
speed.
the 10th, if I'm not
10th,
mistaken. The
yeah,
10th
I
is
believe
their
so.
Yeah,
payback.
yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, everyone in chat, just a reminder, and I'll be reminding about this, throughout tonight. Starjump's going to have quite a few giveaways, I think, over the next 3 months but I'm just not sure exactly when things are lining up for which months and in which order. So I'll be a little careful on what we announce. In terms of like the full scale of giveaways, but one I can announce tonight is that we are going to be giving away let me pull that up. We're going to be giving away an Elgato Stream Deck, as seen here in the picture. All you have to do to enter to win this is follow this channel. Just give it a follow. Click that little button.
Super
And
easy.
let us know you're out there, and you're automatically entered. We'll be giving that away at the end of this month. Um, we're going to have a second one of those to give away next month, and we'll probably do that over on Ender's channel. There's also some ships that are percolating in the background that we'll probably be giving away. Scorpius, Vulture, more news on those, though, still figuring out a few things with that. But yeah, Elgato Stream Deck. So if you have always wanted one of those or feel like you would be interested in one, they're not just for streaming. I can tell you that. It comes with all kinds of really cool presets just for Photoshop, which was really awesome. But yeah, all you got to do is follow the channel. So please do if you enjoy what we do here at Starjump. All right, let's click on over to the show notes here. One thing I did want to do before we went too far down the rabbit hole on tonight's topic is I was on Twitter earlier today and I noticed a fellow content creator um, who does kind of machinima and stuff like that had made a post, and I've been in this same position sometimes. They made a post that just said, I spend hours and hours and hours, or sometimes months, making a piece of content. I put it out there, it gets very little views, and then someone will bang something out in 10 minutes and it's got 80,000 views, and I understand that frustration. That's the world of YouTube and Twitch and all those things. Sometimes it's hard to get your stuff recognized, especially when there's a lot of competition out there and when people have established fan bases and stuff. So when I saw that, it reminded me of how Starjump got started, which was other content creators like DG360, Test Squadron, Montoya over there at Test Squadron, Execute at Info Runners, and Mud Dog at Texas Space Navy, Captain Sonoda and Zero. All these people, Zero State, all these people that kind of in the very beginning started helping us out and getting word of Starjump out there, along with my early cinematic work. And I thought to myself that would be a good idea to try to, instead of just trying to raid someone at the end of the show, like Twitch shows typically do, try to call a community content creator out or a community member out that we think needs a spotlight shown on them at the beginning of the show. And I want to call out tonight Uncle Funk Machinima. They do Star Citizen Machinima, like it sounds. You can find them on YouTube. Just all you got to do is
Link is
search.
right there.
Great,
You
thank you,
can
and I
see it.
appreciate that. Yeah, it's just Uncle Funk Machinima, or hit that link. Go give them a follow. Check out some of their videos. Help support other content creators. Again, here at Starjump, we're not looking to compete with anyone. If there's like-minded people out there that are doing stuff because they're passionate about it, and you know are good people and I think kind of vibe with us the same way we do about the game, then we're definitely going to support them. So yeah, check out Uncle Funk. I really wanted to do that, and we'll probably start doing that as we go into more and more episodes. Uh,
And
yep,
like Jammer said, Uncle Funk is an amazingly kind
yeah,
person
good people.
in general, and
Yep.
just awesome, awesome.
Yeah, so if you find your way over there and enjoy their content, give them a shout out, tell them Starjump sent you, and spread the love. Real quick here, we do have a pretty big topic tonight. So I'm not going to we don't really have a charity update this week. I know we usually do that at the end of the show. We have some other stuff we'll go through there. We also don't really have a Fleet Viewer update this episode, other than to say that I'm still on track for having the 99.9% of my work done for the Q1 2022 or Q1 this year. Um, you know, timeline that we've put out there. And again, I do say it would be a version 1 of the app that Starlet is putting together all the back end work on. There may be some stuff missing from it because it'll be the version 1, but it'll be updated pretty quickly here as we get it out. But I think pretty soon you'll probably start seeing some stuff as I start handing over more and more assets to Starlet. I will say though
And
that I did hand over a large cache of final imagery, which was good. That was a nice milestone. I have another big cache that I'm prepping now of images for her. So progress is being made, and I do want to shout out. I think he might be in the chat. VMXEO, probably in the chat. Yep, I see his name. As always, VMXEO has been a massive help for me personally with the Fleet Viewer project. So if you like the Fleet Viewer project and are interested in it, he is a big one to thank as well, especially on ships that cause me a lot of problems. He solves those problems. So
sure.
again, big thanks to him. And as we get to that point where we do release the Fleet Viewer, we will make sure to give proper credits for sure. So okay, let me check real quick. I want to check to make sure our chat box working okay. Stand by.
It's a little cut off, but
It's a little
it's
cut off. Let me
working
yeah,
right.
let me adjust that. Make sure it didn't just get messed up here. That sometimes does happen when you're moving things all around. There we go. There's the chat.
There it
Sorry about that.
is.
It must have got moved. One of those things about Streamlabs that I don't love. Now that's the other thing I should probably say is that we will be switching over
Just
uh,
OBS.
to just OBS probably the next episode. We do have the show set up over there. So I am personally excited to get switched over to OBS. I
Same.
think we'll have the show will actually feel a little bit more polished than it currently is with the way I set it up over there with transitions and stuff. Ender, I think you just phased it in and out of existence. You're now blurry, so it's sort of like a superpower, but that's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
okay.
I'm trying to
It's like a
fix it, but
Snapchat filter. It like blurs over any issues you may be having. You look great though.
hey, by the way, I wanted to mention that if you guys want to, you can join tonight's conversation. It is a
Yes.
large discussion, and if you have anything to add, questions you want to ask, things like that that are topic specific, we don't
Yeah.
want a lot of, hey, what are you working on with Fleet Viewer, or
Yeah.
when is this coming out? Um, keep it topic specific for us. But if you join our Discord, I'm about to shout that out, and look down at the bottom, you will see a backstage area. Go in there, and I will pull you in at the earliest possible moment.
Yeah.
The
And generally
backstage
the
is an audio area, so
Hmm.
yeah.
you're going to be on. You're going to be live. Be prepared.
Yes, you will be live.
Yep.
And the way we do it, just to kind of keep the show moving, especially on nights when we have a kind of a big topic to cover, is we'll bring you on, say how you doing, go ahead and ask your question, and once you've asked your question, we'll start kind of conversating about that, and we might go ahead at that point as we're conversating about it, move you back. To backstage, at which point you can then go wherever you need to in Discord. But we do that just to keep the show going and not get into too many lulls. Obviously, with Starjump
Hmm.
Station, we obviously, after this show wraps, we're going to download it and do some editing to it and throw it up on YouTube pretty quickly. So, just to cut down on some of the editing and keep the show as tight as possible, we'll kind of keep moving forward. Um,
Hmm.
Okay, so tonight's episode is all about Jumptown. I'm absolutely kidding. It's not about Jumptown at all. It's about the repair gameplay loop in Star Citizen. And we'll talk a little bit about where it's at now, but ultimately, this conversation is centered on where it's going, what the original CIG design brief on the repair gameplay loop um, kind of was written out to be. It was written out a long time ago, so yes, it may very well change by the time CIG releases it. It may radically change. It may have already changed internally, but we're going to be kind of going off old documents, talking about it, discussing it, and because we're talking about, um, you know, specifically the repair gameplay loop, we're obviously going to be talking about the two prime, repair ships that will hopefully eventually be in the game, and that is the Aegis Vulcan and the Anvil Crucible. If I forgot any other repair ships, apologies. I couldn't remember any, but those were the two primary ones I wanted to focus because they had specific gameplay mechanics involved on the ship that have to do with some of the repair mechanics, like specific repair mechanics. And then depending on how we're doing on time, because there is a lot to go through on repair, depending on how we're doing on time, we will do a little bit of a 2022 predictions at the end and kind of talk about the upcoming patches as we make our way through this year and talk a little bit about maybe what we're hoping to see, what we think CIG needs to get out for this to be a good, successful, and productive year for the game. Um, Last but not least, before we go into our primary topic, just a big thanks to everyone in chat, all the Star Jump fans, everyone that shows up and supports our streams through the week, whether it's mine and my behind the scenes kind of technical stuff, occasional gameplay, or Ender's gameplay streams. Obviously, we support. I really appreciate everyone coming out and supporting us in our channels and all that.
Hundred
Being part of
percent.
the Discord is great. Um, we were talking about this, me, Starlet, and Ender, just before this episode. We were kind of in the backstage area. We were talking about how, um, the Star Jump is really all about the community and, how great it is that we got such great supporters and stuff. So big thanks to you all for showing up and helping support us and again, helping spread the word a little bit. Um, I don't know if any of us, me, Starlet, or I don't know if any of us are great like promotional people, getting out there and like spreading the word without being annoying. But so to everyone out there that has spread the word, that's passed us along to friends and whatnot, we really appreciate it. We're a new community in this Star Citizen overall community, so we're just getting started, and the response has been great so far.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so should we dive in? Are we ready to dive in?
We are. We
All
are.
right,
I
we are
think.
ready
I
to
think.
dive in then. Okay, so like I said, we are talking about the repair gameplay loop in Star Citizen. Obviously, if you have something to add to the question, jump in backstage like Ender told you. Ender Starlet, if you want to add anything, I'll probably go over some of the summary information from the original design brief. We'll just go step by step, and anything you want to bring up or talk about for a minute, please interject. Let me go
Sure.
over to my notes here. And I'll probably be looking off this way every now and then to kind of keep an eye on my show notes. Everyone, bear with me a little bit. Um, but there is I'll go ahead and copy this actually. If you're interested in the gameplay, the repair gameplay loop, beyond what we talk about tonight, you can find a lot of the information that I gathered for tonight's episode at this link. Our CIG actually has a bunch of old comlink and engineering pages that focus on these old gameplay loops. A lot of them are from like 2015 time period when it seems like they were putting out a lot of those design briefs. And they're really interesting to go back and read through because they do remind you about gameplay loops and systems that maybe you kind of forgot about. And more importantly, they will give you clues as to why you're seeing certain things done to ships and whatnot now. Um, for example, when we go through a lot of this repair information, suddenly the medical gameplay loop isn't going to seem so arduous as it once did, because I think CIG's ultimate goal with a lot of these gameplay loops is for them to be very involved, and repair is no different.
It'll slow
So
the game down a lot, yeah.
yeah, what's that, Starlet?
It'll slow the game down a lot, so
Yeah, yeah,
as
absolutely.
medical players just done, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the goal, is to slow that gameplay down. So, um, there's a couple things we're going to go over here. We're going to do a quick summary of how damage and repair currently work in Star Citizen. We'll then start to go into what the future of the repair gameplay loop is. We'll talk about repair roles. We'll talk about the repair task manager. We'll talk about the repair arm operator. We'll talk about field repairs. We'll talk about the Aegis Vulcan, the repair drones, and then we'll talk about the Anvil Crucible. And while the ships were not necessarily the ships didn't necessarily have to be a part of this discussion, but I do think they are integral because a lot of what we do in this game is through the spaceships. They are our tool to enact and trigger gameplay a lot of times, whether that's mining or combat, or eventually exploration, scanning, just all that. So got a lot to go through, so let's kind of go ahead and jump right in. I think Ender stepped away for a minute, but that's okay, we'll keep on trucking. So first thing is repair gameplay. Okay, so Star Citizen's repair system will work in conjunction with the engine's detailed damage model to create intuitive and engaging gameplay for players who wish to pursue a career in ship repair or to execute quick field repairs. Now, that's a direct quote from CIG's sort of repair brief. Okay, the basis for repair technology in Star Citizen are tools equipped with multi-purpose lasers that can trim away damaged material or center construction material injected into a component's frame, rebuilding its structure. So much like mining, they're lasers that can put something in and take something away. Um, and that's essentially how the medical guns work right now, right? In terms of delivering medicine, right? I know a lot of people joke right now about Star Citizen always uses these like magic lasers to do the work, but that's how the repair gameplay loop will work.
Is
Starlet,
there any
any thoughts on
gameplay
that?
loop that isn't quite so laser focused
I
beyond
don't
cargo? I
know.
mean,
I mean, I guess scanning is a little different, but scanning, you're still essentially you're putting out some sort of energy. It may not be in laser
And yeah,
form.
until you have to
It's
narrow beam it or whatever, like
yeah,
expands.
exactly. We'll
Oh, we're back
see.
to lasers.
Yeah, yeah. I guess combat, you're sending energy out in a condensed, highly damaging state. So, yeah, so it's something to think about. I think when it comes to gameplay loops in Star Citizen, though, it is something you should get used to because unless they make a radical change in their direction, and I personally hope they don't, magic beams are kind of how they're going to go. I personally am fine with that, at least to get us to like the tier 0, tier 1 gameplay implementation of that loop. And then, maybe in a future release of the game, if they want to go up and add the ability to get in there and tinker with your hands and stuff, fine. But if the magic beam gets the gameplay system in there, I personally am fine with that.
I think, to be honest, it'd be quite hard to implement something with that level of detail that you're actually there with hands and hand tools and things. But
Yeah,
maybe at least you could get that with components perhaps. I don't know. But
yeah. Or
I
maybe
think
in
we'll
the
be sticking with
future,
static lasers for now.
however many years when the game is released, maybe they'll do like, oh, you can get the engineer expansion pack that it allows more engineering gameplay or whatever that
Maybe,
is, repair gameplay. But yeah,
maybe.
so magic beams. That's going to be the Star Citizen way. So um, yeah, so again, it's the basis for the repair technology in Star Citizen repair are tools equipped with multi-purpose lasers that can trim away damage or can inject material to rebuild a structure. Okay, that's the give and take of the repair lasers. Now, there's sort of two primary roles in the repair gameplay loop. And again, I'm talking, well, actually, before we go too deep into this, we just read what the future of repair is. Currently in Star Citizen, especially if you're a new player to the game and have been curious, repairing your ship is as simple as landing on a pad and pulling up your Moby Glass, going to, I don't think it's in the VMA. It's its own app, I think, on the Moby Glass, but you can then
It is.
repair. Yeah, thank you. You can repair, restock, and rearm your ship. Okay. That's how it is now. And I think in the future, when you land at a station, you'll still be able to call up those services on your Moby Glass. But I think in the future, you're actually going to have drones and stuff come out and do that work, and it's going to take a certain amount of time. So right now, repair is really just pulling up a Moby Glass app, making some, telling it to do it. You wait a few seconds, and then boom, your ship is
Hope for the
repaired.
best. With any luck, it might work.
With any luck, it might work.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously, in the future, as we've been talking, the repair gameplay loop is going to be something that's much more involved, and really, to be fully effective in repairing a ship in a major way is going to require at minimum 2 people, and we'll get into why that is here in a moment. So there are two primary roles to repair the future repair gameplay loop in Star Citizen. One is the repair arm operator. You can think of this as your drone operator as well. And then the other one is the repair task manager. Okay, so let's get into that. The repair arm operator. We got a little image here. This is an early CIG image. I think it's just kind of a work in progress, proof of concept image of a repair arm. But the repair arm operator is responsible for the control of a robotic repair arm. Mounted with a multi-purpose laser and material injector system. The repair arm is capable of carrying out all manner of repair tasks. The repair arm is the only player-controlled method of fully restoring a ship to 100% health. It will require skill, knowledge, and coordination with the repair task manager to repair your ship effectively and probably quickly, more quicker. So that's the first role, the repair arm operator. Think of this as the drone operator too, because drones are really just a platform for arms, and we'll show some visuals of that soon.
Yep.
The next role is the repair task manager. Okay, they are going to work at a terminal, much like you see in this image here. And I'll read a description of this as well. The repair task manager relays detailed damage information to the repair arm operator and designates repair tasks to be undertaken and is responsible for the allocation of materials to satisfy part reconstruction requirements. Okay, we're going to get into more detail about this, but Ender is someone who frequently finds themselves in combat and having to repair damage on a ship. How do you feel about future scenarios where to fully repair a ship, you may have to call out for service and have, multiple players handling that for you.
I'll be honest with you. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to add even more RP to a game loop that I enjoy thoroughly, and it will allow me to kind of add more to it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have it.
Or even see just how, in general, how this affects something like combat or any role where your ship has a high likelihood of getting damaged. I think of mining sometimes too. We all know mining can be a little bit dangerous sometimes with the deposits exploding on you. So it sort of makes you feel like if you were to go out, for example, if you were to take two or three of your friends out, you all in your prospectors, or if you were to go out, a few of you in your infernos and go do some missions, would if you had someone in your org that had a Vulcan, would you have them fly with you, maybe just a little bit more in the rear?
Stay off station, but
Yeah,
close by.
obviously for
It would
cheaper
make
repair
more
services and stuff.
sense.
So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it would make more sense to have somebody there, and it would also allow a more logistical gameplay, which
yeah.
is always great.
And I think it's hard to totally know how useful that's going to be until they eliminate the quick and easy repair method. It's sort of like medical. We didn't really know how arduous the new medical system was going to be, or even like, you know, your primary residence situation where all your belongings are in one location. You don't really know what that's going to be like until the current system ends, and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and Star Citizen's going to have quite a few moments of that in its development because it's got a lot of like temp systems in right now. So I noticed someone in chat talked about some of these other repair ships, Endeavor Hangar, Carrick with repair drones and stuff. There are going to be other ships, obviously, that can do full on repair. The Kraken also has 2 internal hangars with full repair facilities, and it's supposed to have those giant robotic arms and all that stuff. Primarily, the reason we focused on drones, the Vulcan, and the Crucible tonight is they are specifically made to repair. That will be their only sort of gameplay loop. But yes, there are other ships that definitely can do um, some forms of repair. But you will frequently hear CIG talk about a ship, and immediately someone will ask about repair, and they'll say, "Well, you can do manual repair on it." One of the
Hmm.
ones they asked about recently was the Liberator. I think people were asking, "Oh, are you going to be able to repair ships on there too?" And CIG said that you can do manual repair with your repair multi-tool gun, which we'll get into here in a bit as well. But that is not going to be the same level of repair that you would get from a dedicated repair ship or drone or something like that. Anything else about the 2 operator modes before I move on, Ender Starlet? Okay.
I guess I would just add uh, not so much the operator modes, but to the general experience of repair in the future. Like the actual experience could widely vary based on how they tune things. You know, how many NPCs are out there to
Yeah.
help with repair, how close are facilities to help you repair. Um, they can fine tune those dials quite a lot
Yeah.
to balance the player requirements of repair. So
Yeah. Is there a
it'd
benefit
be
to
interesting.
human versus NPC
Right,
repair and all that? Yeah.
right.
Um,
Yeah, a lot to be discovered yet.
yeah, that's a great point. Um, okay, well then let's move on and kind of go in depth on the first repair role. Now we talked in that the order we talked about the repair roles were the repair arm operator and the repair task manager, but we're actually going to go to the repair task manager first because they're really the person that starts this process. Um, the the repair arm operator cannot do his or her job without the task manager. So let's talk about the task manager for a minute. So one of the first things that happens with the task manager is they're going to get on a terminal. You've seen these in ships, and they are going to do a damage assessment, right? So they're going to pull up the target ship, and they're going to be able to do it in damage assessment. Now, it was stated that you're going to essentially be able to pull up a kind of heat map display of a ship. I'm almost positive this will change. Again, we're talking stuff that was briefed out in 2015. Very likely will change, but this gives you some indication of where their head's at. But you'll be able to bring up this sort of heat map display on where damage is, get percentages of damage on certain areas of the ship. Not only will it not only will it show damage, but it's going to show that level of damage, and it's going to display the status of individual parts within the ship as well. So we're talking individual ship parts, obviously the hull, ship systems, weapons, and very importantly, the relays between systems. Now, we've seen CIG in the past show off a video of the Hammerhead's power relays, and as Ender knows, that's one of the videos that got me the most excited about Star Citizen when I saw it.
Absolutely.
We haven't seen anything about that in quite a while. Um, I know that they're probably for sure working on it. There's been no real reason to release that until you have like damage and breakability into the game, and physicalized damage, probably physicalized components and stuff. But most ships are built with a piping system that has those power relays and all that. So I think was it called the relay system? I forget exactly what they called it, but the repair task manager is going to be able to pull that information up on a monitor, see if a relay is broken or powered down, and all that stuff. The Let's go a little bit into the material task manager panel. Let me read the CIG's description, and we can study it a little bit. By the way, if you do have a question and you don't want to get in our backstage, you just want to put it in chat, make sure you put it in brackets or a comment, and we'll make sure to keep an eye out for those.
Or just shoot it direct to me.
Or
Direct
shoot it
messages
direct to Ender, yeah.
as well.
And Ender, if one comes in, feel free to just interrupt me.
Actually, we
got
have one.
Okay, go ahead, shoot.
I'm throwing it up in our thing.
All
But
good.
Foggy has asked, has CIG said anything about a services listing board for players to list offers to repair other players? I haven't seen anything. I think right now, at least, it's going to be in chat. That would be my assumption.
Yeah. I almost wonder if you're going to be able to set out. So right now we use the beacon system almost as a come here to this location. I need
Yeah.
something, right? But I would like you to be able to place beacons that will advertise your services via a beacon advertising chat window
That'd be great.
that is not tied into chat, that is its own like advertising panel. And what would be cool about those beacons is when you do set a beacon down, maybe you can set in the beacon, is this system wide, is it, you know, limited to just this planet and its moons, is it, you know what I mean, and be able to customize a little bit how that beacon, that services beacon, displays information. I know CIG has talked a lot about beacons in the, for future, I know they want to do future work on beacons, but I'm not sure if that's ultimately how that will work.
Jammer has asked a good question. Do I need to get 3 quotes to send to the insurance company? Yes, Jammer. You're going to need to actually 7
Yeah.
in total
Mhm.
for future, insurance companies.
Yeah, I see
And
Griff.
wait 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. I see Griff says he wish he could limit beacons to certain players. I do too. I
Yeah,
wish you
that
could
would be
set it to
great.
party or friends only,
Yeah.
or maybe just players nearby. Again, location limited. You know what I mean? Which could have interesting knock-on effects with server meshing, actually. But
Yeah.
that could be a whole other discussion. So,
Oof. Yeah, let's not. We
yeah,
got enough questions about that one, I think.
yeah. So let's talk about the repair task manager's material panel. Okay, so let me let me go through a couple of these slides here. Again, you're going to be able to assess damage, um, and then once damage is found, such as a hull breach, for example, you are going to then be able to go to the material panels. Okay, so as is currently spec'd, I think you're going to be able to look at that damaged area find out what materials are needed to repair it, and that starts the next part of the repair task manager's job. So let me read a little bit about this material panel. It's a tool that the repair task manager uses to select certain materials gathered through mining, scavenging, and trade, possibly more, and combine and assemble those into the compounds required for repairing. So think this is essentially crafting here. If you've played No Man's Sky, you've done this exact thing from
100%.
minute one and probably 3 million times in the game.
Yep.
The materials are graded to reflect their effectiveness. So the repair task manager will need to balance the arm operator's requirements versus the value of the materials used. So for example, if your repair arm operator is like, okay, I need 8 aluminum scandium micro sheets, and you're like, well, I can make 8 of those, but it depletes all my resources of this, but I can give you 5 of those and give you 3 of this lesser one, this lesser micro sheet, then maybe that's a trade-off. We'll see how that, and while for small ships, especially single seat fighters, that may not be the biggest deal, I could see if a Crucible was repairing an Idris after major damage, you would need to take costs and stuff like that into account.
100%.
Did you say scandium? Scamdium?
Yeah, it's on that list right there on the slide I have up, which I know is probably too small for
Perfect.
Starlet and Ender to read, but one of them is aluminum scandium micro sheet.
Scandium.
We have a
Scandium.
yeah, we have a
Scandium.
tri-bonded metholium plate carbon nanotube construct. Again, these are probably just you know placeholder things, I would think. But again, these were these slides here were taken from the repair design brief from CIG. So, one
So
last
VG,
thing. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ender.
VG Zeitzes asks, do you see drone repair tasking as a queued and automated function, or will drone operators have to perform each repaired task one at a time?
I think if the drone is being controlled by an AI blade or especially NPCs at a station, I think Starlet, you mentioned NPC repair. My guess would be stations will have NPC based drones that are essentially being controlled from inside the station. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate.
Yeah. One other thing about the material panel, it said here is once all the materials have been assigned in the materials panel, the repair arm operator can then initiate the reconstruction process. So what you're going to have is someone at a terminal. The repair arm or the person at that terminal is going to be able to do a damage assessment on the ship, right? As we see in this slide. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once they do a damage assessment on the ship, they're going to pull up their material manager. They're going to start looking at the stuff they have. Now, if they don't have all the stuff, they may need to call a friend out to bring, a couple SCU of aluminum or titanium or whatever that thing is. Which leads me to wonder if CIG is going to have a way, or maybe even some sort of auction house market where you can buy things like that. I don't know. That'd be an interesting topic as well. But essentially, you pull your assets together in this material manager, you combine them to create things. So in this window here, you can see they're combining, maybe it's titanium and aluminum, and then that gives you one of these pieces of material. So whether it's a aluminum microsheet or carbon nanotube or whatever. And then once that is then sitting in the inventory, so you see here there's a quantity of 6 in the inventory. Once that inventory fills up with those things, and you could have all those things assembled and combined and just in your storage hold of your ship, but once that's done, then your repair arm operator can start using those assets. I imagine one person could do it, but they'd probably have to switch terminals, run back and forth and stuff. Be a little bit of a pain.
Yeah.
It'd be curious to see the timing. Like it might start off with just one simple material for repair,
Mm-hmm.
and expand to multiple materials sort of further years down the track.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it getting bigger and bigger, and knowing CIG, it'll probably start with a limited subset of materials. I could see it starting with 6, 7, 8 materials, and then that
I
building
could see
up
it
over
starting with
time.
one.
Huh?
Yeah, true, true. I could see it starting with one though, to be honest. Like just
Yeah,
repair goo done.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, it's the T0 or the T1.
Yeah, I could see that.
Uh, so L. Lillian actually asked a really good question
Okay.
that's really on point right now. Do you think the materials for repair will be able to be manufactured at a refinery from player harvested minerals? I think it will. I mean, it
I
only makes
yeah.
sense that that's part of the mining and refining gameplay, right?
It From everything I read, that seems to be the angle. Yeah, absolutely. Um, which really makes me think, when you're thinking of it as player gathered stuff like that, man, I could really see the need for a ground vehicle that's a repair
Hmm.
vehicle. Um, or even maybe some sort of modular attachment. Like I could see a Rock
Yeah,
DS that is not only a miner but also a repair ground
that would be
vehicle.
cool.
So maybe it
Yeah.
could harvest some materials, turn those in to something. Maybe it would have to be a bigger vehicle because maybe you need room for the task manager to have a terminal and stuff. But either way, I could see maybe a ground vehicle. Filling a repair role as well. I think in places like eventually our outposts that are on planetary surfaces. One of the outpost buildings listed in CIG's previews of it is a garage. And that garage, when they've showed it, looks very much like a mechanic's garage. So I imagine that garage will have repair facilities there for ground based vehicles. So, yeah. Um, okay, so that's the material manager. We're going to kind of move on now to the repair arm operator. Okay, that's going back to that robotic arm, and that's going to start taking us into the reconstruction phase of the repair gameplay loop. Okay, again, I'll read CIG's brief on this, and then we can discuss. So the repair arm operator process. Once the repair task manager has chosen the parts and repair material composition, they put all that together for the arm operator. The arm operator will start start the construction and repair process by using their terminal. So you've seen these terminals in Carracks and possibly other ships. I know the Carrack has two drone operator um, seats in its drone room. Those are essentially the seats you would sit in to remote control the arms on the drone, which are repair arms. Um, they by using the terminal, the operator will control the arm's position and aim remotely via mounted camera. To avoid overcomplicating controls, the head is translated and aimed directly with an IK solution, orienting the rest of the arm to follow. So what that means when they say that the head of the repair arm is aimed directly with an IK solution orienting the rest of the arm is if you've looked at some of these repair arms, and when we get to visuals of the Crucible coming up here, you're going to see some of its robotic arms are quite jointed. I mean, they're like a gangly repair arm. What that IK solution is going to allow you to do in the terminal is just point the head at what you want to repair, and then the arm itself will automatically transform into the proper position for the head to repair that item. Okay. Um, that's going to really speed up the repair process, by the way, because if the arms didn't work that way, just remote controlling the arm, you would need to have probably half your keyboard assigned to controls for the arm itself. If
What does IK stand for? Is it some sort of skeleton system?
Yeah, it's how the bones and the skeleton system work for the robotic arm. Again, when we get to the crucible, we'll see these arms in motion. Most of the repair arms on both drones and the Crucible that I've seen have three joints. They have an initial shoulder joint, an elbow joint, a wrist, and then the actual head has independent movement. You're going to see this same thing on, I think you'll see this something similar but a little bit more limited because it only has two joints instead of three. You'll see this on the Drake Vulture's salvaging lasers. So, um,
The Mexio
yes,
stand
thank
for
you.
inverse
Yes,
kinematics.
thanks, VMXEO. I knew he would have the answer there. Inverse kinematics. Yep. Um, Andrew, do we have another question? Or are
Uh,
we
we
good? Okay,
we
no, that's Foggy's old question.
no he asked would the ship sold for scrap be able to be used the same way as a player? I answered that. I think it probably will, but at diminishing returns, you'll get less for like a scrapped ship than you would for the same amount of materials.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So let's go back here. Let me go to my slides real quick. So again, once you have your materials, that repair arm operator is going to start essentially going to work. Okay. So there's two processes for the repair arm to start rebuilding the damaged area. Okay, so it says here the repair arm's laser can be switched between two modes to carry out various necessary repair stages: stripping and patching. You'll know this. You'll be very familiar with this if you've done any mining in Star Citizen. They have the, what is it, the mining laser and the extraction laser,
mhm.
right?
Yep.
Repair will be the same way, only it's stripping and patching. So the stripping mode, which is something Ender does a lot in his spare time, is the
That's my OnlyFans.
Nice.
Don't give that
Yeah.
away.
if the camera in Ender's room pointed just a little bit more to the right, you would see his floor to ceiling pole
Right
in
over
there.
there.
Yeah,
Right over there.
absolutely. But in stripping mode, the repair arm's high-powered laser is used to cleanly remove parts of the component's surface without causing structural damage to the surrounding area. Stripped surfaces are converted and collected as a percentage of its raw materials. So this is one of the coolest thing. Subliminal is
Subliminal. Thank
rating.
you for the raid.
Subliminal rating. Thank you so much,
Hello, everyone.
Subliminal. Salute to you, sir. I hope you're well. I hope you had a great stream. Subliminal, also another person that's been a great supporter of Starjump even in the early days. So big shout out to him. Subliminal, hope your stream was well. Thank you for the massive raid. We really appreciate it. We are talking, for those of everyone joining us, we are talking the repair gameplay loop. If you're new to Starjump Station, it is a topic based show that myself, Grim, Ender, and Starlet all host. Obviously, sometimes we have guests. We need to get Subliminal on a show. That'd be cool. But we talk about different topics and kind of dive deep into them. And tonight we are doing repair gameplay as well as the Aegis Vulcan and Crucible. We're going to focus on those two ships as well. We have some kind of never before seen unique visuals that will come up here a little bit later of the show of both of those ships. So if you're owners of those ships and really excited about them, stay tuned. One thing I will say too, for all those people joining, we do giveaways on Starjump and Starjump Station, both my channel and Ender's channel. And this channel right now is doing a giveaway for an Elgato Stream Deck. All you got to do is follow this channel. If you're interested in winning, I'll do the giveaway at the end of this month. We'll probably also be giving away a Scorpius. Both of those, I think, will be all you have to do to enter is follow the channel. So if you like what we do, give us a follow. Thanks for the support. And once again,
Sorry.
yep,
So I just need to follow your channel to get a Scorpius. All right.
you just, yep,
Follow.
Scorpius and Elgato, you can just
Got it.
follow and you'll be entered to win. But yeah, again, Subliminal, thank you for the support, buddy. Appreciate you. Subliminal's also got a really, really amazing Discord community, by the way. I know in
100%.
our early days of Star Citizen, me and Ender would go in there quite a bit to get information that that we couldn't get otherwise, especially when it came to ship specifics, components, weaponry, all that kind of good stuff.
He also seems to be a big fan of my wife's art too. So
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. But again, everyone that came over, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. We're going to keep going here. Let me bring up my show notes. We are talking about the repair gameplay loop. There's Subliminal. Salute to you, buddy. Appreciate you. Thanks for the raid, man. We really, really appreciate it. Okay, so we were talking about the two modes of the repair of the repair arm operator. Remember, there's two operator modes for repairing in the future repair gameplay loop: the repair arm operator and the repair task manager. So the repair arm will have the stripping mode, which will pull off the damaged pieces of ship and kind of clean that area and get it ready for repair. And then the patching mode will be the actual reconstruction of that ship. So you can see that here in the screenshot provided. You'll see the repair arms doing their magic and tearing away any rough areas and burnt areas of the ship, and then starting to patch those up. Subliminal, have a great time with your wife, man. Appreciate it. Have a great night. so that is the repair arm, and the way that will work. Again, when you look at the stripping, here's another good example in this frame. You can see a damaged area of a ship. The first thing you're going to do when it comes to using the stripping laser, where you're going to kind of pull that away and clean up the area. You can see how it's sort of cleaned up here. These are rough mock-ups by CIG, by the way. I'm sure this is not what it's going to look like. It's going to evolve. But once you kind of clean that area and get it ready for reconstruction, you'll then switch to your patching laser, and the patching laser will then start doing its thing and repairing that part of the ship. Now, CIG has stated in the past that this whole gameplay loop is going to kind of work with how CIG's game engine works, okay, especially in regards to ship damage. We've actually heard hints about that even recently, I think on Inside Star Citizen and a little bit at CitizenCon, where they talked about there has been some
Hmm.
work being done on ways to visualize damage to certain materials on certain ships. So, for example, one material may damage different than another material. And in this regard, think Origin versus Drake, right? Origin has much more high end composites on the exterior. It's going to damage a little bit than the mighty Drake ships would. Um, so, that's something we have heard hints about. So, while this is probably for sure going to change, it's nice to hear that some of those things are still being kind of followed through on. Um, but either way, let's pause here before we go into the next big thing, which is field repairs. So let's pause here for a minute. Starlet Ender, thoughts on how those two roles, the repair arm operator and the repair task manager, overall thoughts on that, and how CIG is kind of thinking about this going forward. Do you think it's the right kind of direction for the game as the game has played out and we've seen how certain systems work, or do you think it's still got something cool about it and they should keep going down that path? Who wants to jump in on that first?
I can, if you like.
Cool.
Yeah, I think while they have a design doc there, they have a theory of how the system works. Again, there's so many ways they can tune and tweak this to make it either time consuming and difficult, skillful or not skillful, um, cheap or expensive, slow or fast. There's so many unknowns. It's going to be fascinating to see how they actually implement the detail.
Yeah. Yeah, Plague Dealer in chat says I bet it will change dramatically from the original plan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Plague,
Quite likely.
I think you're right. I think it will change pretty dramatically, but what I think it will change dramatically, or where I think it will change dramatically, is probably in some of the finer details, like the types of materials, how the material manager works. But one thing I can see CIG doing is retaining a little bit of how damage is repaired from a scraping away the damaged stuff and rebuilding the new stuff, because we've seen that already. Sort of, they had this sort of give take magic laser beam sort of gameplay in mining. I think that's the way salvaging is going to be, and we're going to see it here in repair. So I think that will probably stay the same. I think the biggest changes are going to lie in that repair task manager job. So
Yeah.
that person that's going to
100%.
let me pull that up again. So that person that's going to sit at the terminal and pull up those materials and start
So
building the components needed to repair. That's going to change
yeah,
a lot.
I see this almost being a 2/3 rule, kind of like in restaurants. You can either have it good, cheap, or fast,
Yeah.
and you get two of those three, and you get to pick. It's either going to be good and fast, but it's not going to be cheap. So I think that's what we're going to end up looking at here.
Yeah.
You can have strong repairs, fast repairs, or cheap repairs.
Yeah.
So
That's a great point, Ender. And it kind of ties in a little bit with what Foggy says here in chat, where he says, sounds like you could boost the stats for a ship based on the material used to rebuild it.
it
I
is
would say
possible.
maybe not boost the stats, because maybe that's what overclocking and all that will be. But what you could probably do is if you're repairing your ship with all grade A materials, like top of the line materials, and someone else is repairing their ship with subpar materials, then in a
Yeah,
way your ship is naturally boosted over them.
exactly.
And how I could see that kind of rolling back into gameplay is that if you are, let's say your org is a heavily combat focused org. Let's say you run an org that not only are you big into combat, but you partner with other orgs to provide security for them and stuff like that. You're probably going to want to have a portion of your org or partner with someone that's outfitted with repair ships
Yep.
that are procuring the best repair materials so that not
Yep.
only can you repair, but when you repair, you're not repaired to 90%, you're repaired to 100%. And I
Yep.
guess the similarity may a little bit lie in like medical beds, like tier 2, tier 3 medical medical beds. One, tier 3 I think heals you to 100% and tier 2 gets you kind of back on your feet, and working. So
Yeah.
Plague says, I think the crew, yeah, Jammer says like OEM parts versus aftermarket, but are better than aftermarket, better than junkyard. Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
way to think about it. I could see some people out there repairing their ships with just like discount stuff, discount materials. Again, it all
Drake.
depends on how deep CIG
Drake.
goes with that.
Sorry. Oof.
Drake, no, Drake
Sorry,
would
a
only
little
be
bit
the
of a
best, of
cough.
course.
Hey, we do have two questions real quick.
Yeah, send them.
Rockatansky asks, is there a point where ships would be deemed too damaged to repair? I think that at some point, if like for instance, if you're doing combat, I can see a point where you're going to just have to reclaim your ship,
Yeah,
and it's been just too beat up, and obviously destroyed is too damaged to repair. But I think that if you repair your ship, eventually it's going to get to a point where you're repairing your ship so much that they're just like, look, we can't do anything with this. It's been repaired too many times, and you will have to reclaim it at some point. But I think we're pretty far off from that,
yeah. I mean,
personally.
I would say I almost hope, and again, I see some first time chats in the chat channel, and some a lot of names we haven't seen before. So really appreciate you if you came over from Subliminals channel, hanging out with us a bit. Again, appreciate that support. We're kind of a new Starjump community, and you may know us from our cinematic work that we've done, which you can check out on our YouTube channel. But if this is the first time you're here, we appreciate your support. Um, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I personally do hope, Ender, that the ability to fully repair a ship to 100% is always there, because I would love for there to be orgs out there that fly crucibles and offer up
Yep,
full ship repair services, and because they're player driven, they can be competitive with their repair prices over stations. You
absolutely.
know what I mean? So, for example, we know how quantum works, and we know how quantum is going to work in regards to if you're way out on the ass end of Pyro and there's not a lot of repair materials being sent to that station via trade and stuff, um, the
It's
repair
going to
costs,
be expensive.
yeah, the repair costs at Ruin Station may be much higher than, say, at Olisar. You know what I mean? And it would be great to have player options out there that can repair your ship, um, for much cheaper, because maybe they're backed by a massive org that has huge mining operations that mine in such high volume that their materials are much cheaper. I personally would love to see that. I would love for that competitive economy to kind of come naturally in Star Citizen. I think that's what Tony Zervek's ultimate goal is with Quantum, is building the backbone of a system that players will have a direct part in. I think they've in a sense stated that before.
So L. Lillian also asks a question that I was thinking about literally as she sent it to me, or they, sorry. So they said, do you think they will allow players to strip off, e.g., heavy armor plates, and repair it with stealth plates if we have the blueprint for the right type of plate, or will it not get that complex? I was actually just wondering, if they will allow, say, a heavier armored era to go through, and maybe it's not as fast as the typical regular armored era, and not as maneuverable, but it is more heavily armored. I was wondering if they would do something like that, kind
Yeah.
of in the
I'm,
lane of what we were
it's
saying.
a good question. Starlet, maybe you know, but I'm unsure if armor itself is interchangeable between classes. Like, I think if it's a light fighter, I don't know if it can carry heavy armor. I think you would have to flex stealth probably based on your IR signatures and your electromagnetic signatures.
We know that they're trying to include materials in every part of the ship, um, as part of its total mass calculation, affecting its speed and its ability to fly in atmo and things like that,
Yeah.
or in gravity. So, maybe there's a possibility they could go that far. But I suspect, at least at the start, you'll be switching out armor and things at a shipyard, or
Yeah.
something along those lines. Again, all really unknown stuff. We can only speculate and hope for the best.
Yeah. That's a great point. I mean, I think that I almost think of those type of repairs, like if you, not even a repair, but let's say you wanted to switch out armor on a ship. I almost would think that is like a shipyard, or almost like a ship dock sort of shipyard sort of repair. Sort of like if
Hmm.
you were to take a Kraken and upgrade it to like a Kraken privateer or something, you're going to have to take it to like a shipyard and wait the week or whatever it's going to take to change the hull of that ship. Um, I could see that being an option for that level of repair. Where
Yeah,
where then it sort of does become an automatic process because the ship sort of like goes into an invisible hangar, and that work is happening on a timer. So maybe that sort of thing.
Yeah.
could
But
be.
it's not clear that we will be able to change armor beyond
No,
the
no.
Yeah,
rigorous, M upgrade that they said they'd add in the shipyard. It's not clear that we can. So,
correct. That's not clear yet.
and that might affect their ship balance quite dramatically when they've got 200 ships to figure out
Yeah,
how to
Mhm.
make useful in the verse.
yeah,
That's true. Just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for the questions that we got. Don't forget, you can also pop into the backstage in our Discord
yep,
and ask questions live.
yeah. Um, Rock Rockatansky just asked, "Do you feel the Crucible getting larger than its original concept?" Um, Rock, we're going to go into here pretty shortly. We're going to talk specifically about the Crucible. Excuse me, and we'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to have a whole once we get through the field repair section of the repair gameplay loop, which we're going to go through now. We're then going to
Mhm.
focus on the Vulcan and the Crucible. I've got some new visuals to show of that people haven't seen before. I know if you've followed my cinematics in the past, you've seen some Vulcan and Crucible do some things, but I've got some new visuals to show for that, as well as some visuals on the repair drones. But why don't we, real quick, let's go into the last kind of section of repair gameplay, and that is something that CIG classified under field repairs. Okay, so and I essentially think those are any repairs that happen outside the domain of a repair arm and a task manager. So the little material crafting terminal. So the first one, obvious, is your personal multi-tool, which we have in game now. I'll read a brief description of that. The multi-tool is a personal item that is equipped with the capabilities of a small-scale version of a workshop's repair arm. It's capable of stripping and patching, so it's got that dual laser on it, allowing it to achieve a wide variety of ship repairs short of full part reconstruction. So it can't do full part reconstruction. It can't put a new part like on a wing. It can't. A wing that blows off is not going to get replaced with this tool. But what it can repair are holes in the wings or something like that. Um, so that is your multi-tool. The next field repair uh, topic is component and subcomponent repair. And let me read a little bit about component damage, and then
Holy cow, Kelly.
what's that?
Kelly just gifted
Oh,
21 subs to
Kelly.
the community. Thank you,
Woo!
Kelly.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Really appreciated it. Kelly is always a huge supporter of Starjump, so it goes without saying. Salute to you, Kelly, for everything you do for us. You are always showing up in our streams, giving us support, helping us out in various ways. Kelly's just really become one of those indispensable Starjump community members, so we really, Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, you have my salute for sure. Um, so let me read off component damage real quick here. When it says when your ship takes damage, some of that damage will be transferred from the point of impact on the hull to the nearest system and weapon. Okay. Those components then distribute the damage between itself and whatever subcomponents are attached inside. Subcomponents are the various consumables that are used to run or improve a component or system's behavior. So the way to think about this is right now, if you have a component in your ship, let's say it's your quantum drive, at some point there's going to be subcomponents for that quantum drive. So to repair the quantum drive, you will, if let's say if your quantum drive is on the fritz and you're in deep space, you're going to go to your quantum drive, open up that module rack. You may not pull the quantum drive out, you may just pull a subcomponent out. That may be like a little circuit chip or something, and then you're going to take that to your Carrick engineering room and do some repair on it. You'll bring that subcomponent back, plug it into the quantum drive, and your quantum drive should work. Okay. It says, in general, component field repairs consist of turning off whichever component is having problems, so shutting it down, replacing the broken subcomponents, and then turning the component back on. In very large components, like those found on capital ships, there may be multiple actions involved in turning a component on or off, including rerouting power or coolant to other parts of the ship. These actions may involve the use of onboard ship computers. So this is going to go. This is talking heavy engineering, multi-crew gameplay stuff right here. We've seen CIG talk about this a little bit with its power relays. What it's saying essentially is if you wanted to go repair, let's say your radar system, if you go back there and just whip open the thing and try to grab it out, maybe you might get electrocuted or start a fire in your ship, which is another feature we haven't heard much about lately. But you may start a fire or damage something more. You're actually going to have to get an engineer to reroute power away from the radar. I'm sure another solution would be to just shut your ship down completely, but that may be kind of dangerous. You're going to need to reroute power so that your engineer can then go and repair that item. Very quickly here, it doesn't take very long, and suddenly you're seeing multi-crew like really start to boom. Like even for a ship like a Hammerhead or a Carrack, you start to think about, man, how many people am I going to need to do all that just for that to repair a large component? You're now talking an engineer, a task manager, possibly a repair arm operator or an engineer. I mean, you're starting to talk 2-3 people just to repair something. And if CIG holds to that path, engineering and repair gameplay is going to be really deep just by the nature of how many people you need to do it.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Really.
Sometimes I always think about, Ender, you know this well. We used to play Sea of Thieves a lot, and it was always fun. The best moments of Sea of Thieves were when you were in battle. You had someone driving the ship, you had someone on the guns, and you had to have someone below deck. At a minimum, you needed those 3
Repairs
roles.
were necessary, and if you weren't able to do them, you were out of luck.
Yeah, you were immediately out of luck on a ship, and that was pretty much any ship there. Obviously, the more you could dedicate to those roles, it made it better. But that was key, and I think what we're going to see is an analogy in Star Citizen when it comes to those repair roles. Now, I have this slide up here, and it's specifically regarding subcomponents. It says subcomponents provide additional benefits to the component they're attached to. So think subcomponents attached to a radar system, allowing for further customization of a player's ship. They are divided into 3 categories, as you're seeing in the slide here: efficiency, protection, and emissions. I'm sure CIG internally has many more mapped out, but this is the type of behind the scenes stuff I wish CIG would do some refresher inside Star Citizen or calling all devs on so we can see their path. This is much like if you look into CIG's plans for computer blades and look at all the computer blades they have planned. There's a lot of really interesting stuff there that we just haven't heard about in a while. But I think a lot of people will be interested in this because, again, it's giving you more ways to customize your ship, and everyone wants that.
Yeah. So we have another question
Send
from
it.
L. Lillian. They ask, do you think a repair drone should be able to be inside big ships like the Hull E, walking behind it with a remote control console?
I don't think there's
Nah.
I don't think
There
there's
is
any
a
planned way to get the drone in the ship.
there was a very, very early pledge, some kind of repair bot that goes in your hangar, but I can't think of anything that's been stated about going inside a ship.
Yeah, because ships that do have drones, and I'm specifically thinking, Vulcan, Carrack, Nautilus, all of their drone rooms inside the ship, the drones are attached to superstructure or cranes or gantries or on rails. In the case of the Nautilus, the drones are on a conveyor belt system. So they can't, once the drone is inside the ship, it can't like come off the conveyor belt. It's permanently attached to conveyor belt. The Carrack, if you've ever been in the Carrack's drone rooms, the drones actually come in a pressurized box and then can be pulled out, but they're attached to a crane. And just so you know, the drones are pretty big. They're bigger than what you might think. I probably should have grabbed a screenshot of the size of a player size next to a drone. They're bigger than you think. So they
Yeah, they're
probably
pretty
couldn't get through
large.
doors and stuff. As a matter of fact, I know they couldn't get through doors. The last
But
thing,
there's
go ahead,
nothing to
start.
say that they couldn't add sort of some sort of smaller inside drone, right? So
Yeah,
who knows what the tier 4 or tier 5 of repair might be?
An
sound
engineering drone.
Sounds like people want their R2D2s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
could I could see a firefighting drone that like is like maybe like a little, it almost like a little trash can on wheels. That if you have a fire in a certain room, maybe it goes heads that way. It's got a little siren on top and just annoyingly blinks, but doesn't do anything to the fire. It just stands in front of
it
the door
just
with the
blinks
light
and looks
blinking.
at
Yeah,
it.
That'd be awesome.
I
I
love it.
see a lot of people shooting that drone in particular,
um,
quite a bit.
let's go to our very last field component, and then we're going to go into repair ships. Okay.
Hmm.
So the last thing is module racks, okay? Let me read CIG's brief here on module racks. Module racks are panels that house various components used to keep their associated subcomponents running. These can be found on the hull under maintenance hatches and enclosed cockpit ships, or internally or externally. We've seen these externally as well, like on the Ares Inferno and Ion. I think its components are on the outside. Um, Depending on the component installed, different types and numbers of subcomponents are required. Each subcomponent is built for quick removal and replacement, allowing for field repairs to be carried out as quickly as possible. If a player attempts to remove a subcomponent from a powered component, they risk being electrocuted or receiving damage. Okay, that was something tying into what I said earlier. That's pretty cool. Um,
I hope there's knockback. That'd be so cool if it
yeah,
flashes
totally.
up with sparks and knocks you across the room.
Yeah. Last thing here, components on larger ships such as the Idris, Retaliator, etc., can require a large number of subcomponents to function and or large sizes of subcomponents. When damaged, these more complicated systems take significantly longer to diagnose and physically swap out any compromised parts. To maintain full operation, these ships can contain alternative backup systems in the case of in case of an emergency. An engineer can use their engineering ship terminal to redirect power to the backup system, allowing for full ship functionality whilst the engineer repairs the primary system. I would think that on ships that have like two jump drives or two of something, you could probably divert power from one and send it all to another via the engineering terminal. And then once you've diverted that power, repair that component. So um, cool. So that comprises field repairs. So again, those field repairs had to do a lot with the multi-tool and with components and subcomponents. So everything outside of the repair arm and the task manager. So in some ways, you can sort of think of field repairs as almost internal ship repairs, and um, the robot arm and task manager is almost exterior ship repairs. Although it's not that finely delineated, that's sort of seems like the deal. Um, Anything you want to add on the repair gameplay loop, Ender, Starlet, or people in chat before we move on?
Uh, yeah, the component the engineering thing seems like potentially a lot of fun.
A lot of
Like
fun.
like
Yeah.
it could be quite dry if it's too simplistic, and it could be quite frustrating if it's too complex. So they're going to have to really work on finding what the right level of fun is for this thing.
Yeah.
But it has potential, yeah.
It's
As
Go ahead,
I
Andy.
think with I think as with all things, they are going to start too high and then go too low and then find that middle ground, just
Yeah.
like they do with a lot of stuff in game.
Yeah. I mean, one thing too I always think about when it comes to ship damage, it's easy to think of combat or ramming something or whatever the case may be, your mining deposit exploding. But we heard on Inside Star Citizen at the end of the year, or when they were talking about pyro specifically, they were talking about how pyro is going to have pretty violent solar flares that will send out belts of radiation that will damage ships. And they talked about how they're building, and they're already working on this. They were talking about how you will have to kind of park. You'll get essentially a system-wide warning that a large solar flare has gone out, and you will have to find an asteroid or something to sort of hide your ship behind, or something to block that. Much like the way CIG has told us that radar and scanning is going to work, and how you can hide behind things to block certain signatures or something like that. So that's going to be really cool, I think, when you think about something like, let's say everyone hops aboard a hammerhead. Well, right now you just need 4 or 5 gunners and a pilot. But once this other level of gameplay comes on board, if you're going to take your hammerhead into a system like Pyro, well, you definitely need an engineer now with you, and probably a repair ship to fly with you, because there's a high likelihood of sustaining damage, not just from combat, but from just purely flying in the verse. So it's something to think about, which ultimately I hope comes in. But that's going to be the balance, Starlet, like you said, is what's too little and what's too much. So
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult because you've got single player ships, multiplayer ships, right up to capital ships, and a single player ship is going to need a very different level of engineering than a capital ship that's supposed to be for a big raid group and
yeah,
supposed to be a challenge. So,
and we're going to
yeah, they've got the
see,
work cut out for them.
yeah, and specifically bringing up capital repair. Um, we're going to see a visual here in a minute that I made this week, of a crucible and capital repair mechanics with that. So
Uh,
go ahead.
Raytheon says currently ships die way too fast. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh, as soon as they bring in physicalized damage, I think ships won't actually explode unless you hit something explodey. So they'll just be disabled, or they'll just lose their air pressure, or one of the components will be damaged, so it'll just be dead in the water. They won't
yeah,
actually just explode. It's just a short-term uh, solution to get the game playable now.
yeah. They've said that whole time to die, instant explodey thing is not the ultimate goal. It's much like, again, think of a more prolonged and involved Sea of Thieves, where when Sea of Thieves, if you
Hmm.
get damage, you start leaking, the hull starts filling up with water, and then it's a kind of a, well, you can sink pretty quick, actually, if you don't get on it quickly. Ender, you're muted, buddy. Or
Oh, I
okay.
am. Yeah, I was saying if you're not quick, you can go down real fast.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. But what I
Yeah.
think we'll see in Star Citizen is just a stretched out version of that. You know what I mean? And I think for different size ships, you're going to see different lengths of that time to die, sort of thing. So on Capitals, I think it's going to be a good chunk of time, especially enough for people to get to escape pods and escape. On most of the capitals, it does look like they put escape pods in convenient areas for different parts of the ship. I know the Idris, for example, has escape pods up on the bridge. It has escape pods towards the rear of the ship and towards the front of the ship, if I'm not mistaken. The Kraken, although I know everyone likes to say the Kraken doesn't have escape pods. In the Drake Kraken brochure, it actually does list escape pods as being one of the primary reasons the bridge was redesigned. So I think on a lot of those larger ships, you're going to have that. And with smaller ships, you do have the ability to eject. Um, and some ships like the Talon, I think, have an entire ejection pod that shoots you out. So time to
Yeah.
die is going to take that into account. I think you can even think of things too, like, eventually we're not going to be able to wear like our armor, especially heavy armor, in in the cockpit of a ship, not just small ships, but like, I don't think you're going to be able to like fly the Carrack, with a heavy suit of armor on. But they're also going to have the room system and pressurization and oxygen and stuff. So, if you're not wearing your suit and a room gets depressurized and you got to quickly put on a suit just to go in there to repair it. I mean, this again, when you start thinking about those, it quickly gets to a point where it's like, oh, wow, this is getting to be a long process. This whole time to die thing might need to be 10 minutes or,
Yeah,
however long. So,
and it'll be part of the tactics,
yeah,
damaging components and things from the outside or from the inside of the ship will be part of the gameplay,
yeah,
um, as you try and take a ship over.
yeah. Okay, we are going to move into repair ships now. I may have missed some if there are some in Star Citizen that I didn't think about, but we are going to
Grim.
let's see. Got your message Ender in chat. Yeah, that's not a problem, buddy.
Roger.
Um,
Hey, we got a question real
sure.
quick, if I can throw it in there. It's kind of on point. Do we know if components will take damage simply from use? Just kind of like the
I
current
don't. Yeah,
space stations and spaceships do, where they just degrade over time. Do we know if that's going to be a thing?
I don't know. Maybe there's some wear, like some wear. Yeah. Quinn just said maybe some
They
wear damage from just constantly being, hot and usage.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good question. I think there's probably going to be just wear damage on everything. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about it, they gave our ships paint wear. You know what I mean? It
That's
wears
true.
out.
Yeah.
So I can
I
only
mean,
imagine components and like game critical stuff getting wears. It's a great question though.
Isn't
yeah,
that the
that's
grade of
L.
the
Lillian.
drive? The B or the C or the A does that go is that supposed to go down over time? I'm not sure.
The actual
I
grade system. I don't
don't
know. That's
I
a good
don't
question.
know. I don't think so. I think it's more of mid level, high level, and low level. But it could go into effect where if you buy a grade C military item,
Yeah.
it breaks down,
Yeah.
X times faster than normal. You know
Yeah, I
what I
think
mean?
those grades are more just for classification purposes. But yeah, Jammer actually brings up a good point. They have talked about wear on personal weapons as well. So I can only imagine it on ship components being a critical system like that. So um, okay, so let's get into ships. We are going to talk about two ships tonight, as you're seeing here in our preview window. We're going to be talking about the Anvil Crucible, also known as the Flying Toolbox. It is a large repair ship. We're going to get all into it. But before we dive too deeply into the Anvil Crucible, we're going to talk about Aegis's repair ship, which is the Aegis Vulcan. You're seeing it here. Um, the Vulcan is a repair ship that essentially utilizes drones to do its repair work, while the Crucible uses the robotic arms and the material manager. Okay, so it's sort of two different ways of repairing. They're really going to use the same underlying systems, but they're going to approach it a little differently. So, real quick here, I am going to, let me drag something around here. I have something out of order. Bear with me. Um, okay, so let's switch over here to the Vulcan. So the Vulcan is a medium. It's classified as a medium repair and medium refuel ship. It's 38.5 meters long. So that's like, is that a little longer than Cutlass length? I forget, somewhere around there. Does carry 12 SCU of cargo, and it's able to equip and field 4 repair drones. You're seeing they can come out from either side, the port and starboard side. You're seeing them here in this video coming out the starboard side. We'll get into the repair drone specifically as well, but this is the Aegis Vulcan. Ender, Starlet, thoughts on the Aegis Vulcan? Neither one of you own it. What do you think of it? I know I've heard a lot of people like kind of say bad things about the Vulcan. Like it's not a good value, it's not a good ship to own. I haven't really looked into it too much in terms of a pledge price and stuff, but being able to carry 4 drones seems pretty powerful. What do you two think?
It feels like it's a sort of battlefield refuel and quick fix and rearm kind of thing that
Yeah.
you'd have like behind Tonks or something like that. I don't think it doesn't feel like a serious contender for ship repairs out in the universe.
Hmm.
I don't see it being that end all be all. It's going to be able to repair you quick and on the fly and just done. Um, I don't think it's going to be as strong as even in your in the cinematic, the Aegis cinematic.
Yeah.
Uh, it's pulling a gun off. It takes a little while. I see it even taking longer than what we showed in that. I
Oh
see it
yeah, for
taking
sure.
a good amount of time for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We also have a
Yeah,
question.
Quinn says
Oh,
it's
yeah,
quick repair like a highway assistant vehicle. Yeah, I could see that being how it's described. The funny thing about that descriptor, and we'll get to that question in just a second, but the funny thing about that descriptor, and you'll see here in this video that's playing some of the early CIG white box of how it deploys the drones, but you would think there would be a smaller roadside assistance type repair ship that maybe carries one drone. The
yeah.
Vulcan's got four. That's quite a bit of. I mean, it's a lot of drones for a ship of this size. But sorry, Ender, what's the question?
Question is it likely the Vulcan will be a placeholder for Crucible once the Vulcan is in game? Yeah, I mean I can see that
I
happening.
would imagine, yeah,
Zayed
yeah,
says
yeah. I would
for
imagine it
sure.
would be the loner. I would definitely see the Vulcan coming out first. I personally, and Starlight, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. I don't necessarily think drones are that far away. I mean, CIG already has them built. They're already in a lot of ships. Um, not in the player ships, but they're already like in ships. I've seen them inside of Nautiluses and all that. The actual drone model's already there. So really, all they need to do is create the remote link that where when you get in the terminal, you can then remote control the drone, and then remote control the arm, which will be much like controlling an arm on a prospector or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't personally think drones are terribly far away, um, but if that's the case, I could see the Vulcan coming out sooner rather than later. Starlet, your thoughts on that?
um, I I'm guessing uh, we won't see drones till after server meshing and after uh, NPCs can get more CPU time, right? So you've having a ship that's under control of a player is currently what they're good at, and having things that zip around on instruction, they're not very good at that right now. They can't even get a bartender to serve drinks.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll see drones till next year or the year after.
What about if drones came out initially that have to be player controlled and not controlled
That,
by?
that could work, but is that what they're thinking? I don't think they are.
I read the repair arm operator mode is correlating essentially with drones, essentially drones just being a jetpack for repair arms. As you notice, and let's actually switch over because I think that's a great segue. Let's go ahead and switch over to this visual here. This is a repair drone. Um, you'll see these being carried by ships that can carry drones, especially the Vulcan. The Carrack will be able to carry these drones. As you see, it's got these four repair arms that are going to be able to do things. I imagine, and this is just how I have the model, the CIG model that floats out there. But I imagine the heads on some of those arms, I could see, some of those arms having different sort of repair heads on them.
Yeah.
Um, so and maybe they'll change it and it's not four arms, maybe it's two or whatever. Yeah. Rakatan says the reclaimer is a drone as well. Yeah. Uh yeah, so essentially the drones have these repair arms, and I could see you controlling the drone much like you fly a prospector around. You go up to an area that needs to be repaired, and then you hit, on the prospector, you hit M to go into mining mode. You essentially would hit a key to go into maintenance mode or repair mode. You know what I mean? And then when you do that, what I see happening is the drone sort of stabilizing itself, or maybe two of its arms latch on and stabilize. I know they don't have the tech for that right now, but I see it stabilizing itself, and then you being able to control the repair arms, much like you control the prospector arms. I haven't
Yeah, I think
specifically seen
it's
that
quite put
stated.
that
I just
way.
made the correlation. But sorry, go ahead,
Yeah,
Starlet.
an alternative is that, you have your drone operator mode, you're sitting there in the seat, you select the ship and you select what to do, and off it goes and does it, so you're not actually directly flying it
That's
like a
true.
ship.
Yep. It could very well be just that. Um, absolutely. I would love if they had like a manual mode for them, especially if you have a drone out there that just goes haywire. Because let's be honest, there's going to be times where the tech fails, and it would be nice to be able to switch into a manual mode for drone recovery and stuff. Specifically too, when you talk about the Nautilus will be able to carry the Nemo drone, which is a recovery drone for mines. Um, so I personally hope that drone as well has a manual mode that you can do things that are a little bit more emergent gameplay oriented and think out of the box a little bit. So um,
Lillian says, "Remember the verse is pretty anti-AI." Um, True, but I could say that a player selecting a target and an operation for a small activity is not really AI. It's just um, it's just that the drones get there
yeah,
and do their job one at a time, sort of by themselves.
yeah, and I mean, you bring up a great point too, with server meshing and all those underlying attacks that we know very much affect, tick rate and how the AI system works and all that kind of stuff. The last thing we want to do is walk into Port Alisar and see a bunch of drones standing on chairs. So um, you know, so I could see that being a roadblocker there. So, the funny thing is so many ships are sold with drones in mind. Drones are talked about. There's a drone room. It can do drone stuff. I do feel like CIG needs to update us on on if the vision for drones has changed and kind of give us more detail on that. Um, we might start getting that with the release of the Nautilus. And anyone who's watched Starjump Station knows that I do think the Nautilus is coming this year, late this year, personally, based
Same.
off certain clues, or at least I hope so. I'm sure I'll eat those words. But the Nautilus is really centered around mines, yes, but 50% of the ship is around mine recovery, so it uses drones for that. So we maybe we'll get a little bit of an update on where drones are at and stuff as that ship gets closer to coming out. I mean,
And
Starla, did you want to
curiously,
add something?
that I mean, they do talk about server meshing. Some of it perhaps being in next this year. So I mean, maybe it's supposed to be timed with that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um, I would expect delays, though, to be honest.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it. The reason I've been thinking about repair so much lately, honestly, is when we think about Pyro, a large system with very few stations, from what we've heard. Especially so, probably very few repair opportunities. I've really been thinking about repair gameplay going into Pyro and like, should there be if drones aren't going to be ready for a while and the Crucible's not going to be ready for a while, is there room in the current ship lineup for a smaller repair ship? Maybe something that's more, well, maybe it is more like Cutlass size, which the Vulcan kind of is, but something that can be fielded a little bit more quickly. So something
Will we
that's
even
not as
get?
complex as the Crucible, but maybe essentially a mini Crucible. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that makes sense. But I mean, I don't think we're going to get repair before Pyro, right?
No, I don't think so either. I'm just
No.
saying that Pyro seems like such a dangerous place, and it's also not supposed to have many landing zones. It's really supposed to only have Ruin Station. I think at CitizenCon they showed us that that's not going to be the case. There's going to be these pirate stations and stuff, but we don't know if all those stations are going to have like facilities at. We also don't know if those pirate-controlled repair facilities, if you're going to have pirate rep to be able to even repair at them. Um,
Yeah, that's true. But they can definitely add stuff temporarily to make the system
sure, yeah,
workable
yeah,
while they're getting other
absolutely.
systems in. Yeah.
It's just really got me thinking about repair in general lately. And, as we go into these like desolate systems like Pyro, I think Nyx is pretty desolate too. I think it only has one primary landing zone. I see stuff like repair, refuel, and rearm starting to there's a need there now. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people say things like, "Oh, the Kraken is 10 years off," and it may very well be, but I can totally see a need for the Kraken and Pyro. You know what I mean? Or the Liberator, or any ship that can restock, rearm, and refuel. You know what I mean?
I,
Those services
I
start
think
to seem like something that's needed.
100%.
So we
But
have
that's it. I think physicalized damage will be the key mover for repair.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So we have two questions that are kind of together.
Okay.
So the first part is why couldn't one R3 drone recover another? And then following that, is this a baseline / utility drone chassis we're looking at? Could this also be on Carrick, or will there be a specialized drone for each ship?
No, I think so. This drone here, and I'm going to give you the best of my knowledge. I have done a lot of research and talked to some people a little bit in the know on the drones. From what I can gather, this drone that you're seeing here is essentially the general purpose drone. I think it's general purpose like repair, but this is from everything I've heard, is the general purpose drone. I do know that there is the Nemo drone, which is specifically carried by the Nautilus, but the Nautilus can also carry these drones, even though it's not specifically spec'd for them. Vice versa, the Carrack is going to be able to carry the Nemo drone. You can switch those out. What it said, though, was that it may not be able to field them as optimally as a ship that's built around them. Um, Obviously, a big caveat to that would be the what do you call it? The sentry mines on the Nautilus. Not talking about the homing mines, the explosive mines, but the Nautilus also can deploy sentry mines. I think it's a size 1 or 2 gun turret. It's got 2 guns on it, and it's on a little drone, and I think it can deploy like however many of those, like 24 of them or something, which would be pretty badass actually. But
Can you do a version of this?
those are
Can
not
you do a version of
drones. Those are they still classify those as mines. So I just wanted to clear that up. Sorry, go ahead, Starlet.
Can you do a version of this animation with lightsabers?
Absolutely, we can go General Grievous with this.
I
Absolutely,
think I think this drone is the great grandfather of General Grievous.
yes, yes. Um, so yeah, and in this Vulcan run through here by CIG, where they show off some of the concept and white boxing, you see that general purpose drone. That is the drone they're showing deploying in this video later on. So yeah, so we are going to continue to move forward if there's nothing else about the Vulcan. Um, we're going to go into the next big repair ship, and that is the Anvil Crucible, as you were seeing here. So the Anvil Crucible is classified as a heavy repair ship. Um, I think that's how they classified it originally. I think it'll ultimately be considered a large repair ship. It is 90 meters long. It's known as the Flying Toolbox. Um, its original design brief was a mobile garage equipped with repair arms and drone operations center. Now, there's no drones listed for the Crucible, but they do specifically say drone operations center, which I thought was interesting. Um, there are 3 roles to the ship, actually: repair ship, a refit and resupply ship, as well as a tugboat. Um, so those are its 3 roles. I have
I think the
seen
tug
in.
was changed to the
Go ahead.
serve.
What's that, Starlet?
I think the tugboat role was removed and added the SRV was added to the game.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for that clarification. The some of the writings I found on the Crucible talked a little bit about 3 variants for the ship. I don't think that's um, I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think the ship will just be capable of 3 different customized approaches to repairing, and we'll kind of show that here in our visuals. But there was also 2 versions. So the Crucible, just so everyone knows, is made up of really 2 components. There's the ship itself, and then this large hangar that you're seeing opening up. The hangar is known as the Scarab. The Scarab can be detached and reattached. So um, the Scarab is attached when it needs to repair small, I think small to medium ships, or extra small to small ships. Um, I think we will see that 90-meter length grow on the Crucible, probably grow to about the 125-meter length. Um, so there's the Scarab and the main ship. Now, one thing before we rolled up into this episode, I noticed in the Hollow Viewer, and I forget who helped find this for me, if it was Kelly or Griff or Bingo. Sorry if I get the person wrong for help me figure this out. But in this year's IAE, in the Hollow Viewer, the Crucible being shown there was actually a different variant of the Crucible than what you're seeing here. You'll notice this has the big square box hanger. Now, the Crucible they showed was this one, which has a more tapered hanger in the front, slightly smaller, a little bit more aerodynamic looking. Now, one thing I did want to, the reason I'm showing both on this show is that, now I don't have a ship sitting in this hangar, but I wanted to show how those arms work. But the important thing here is that in reading through the development of the Crucible and the Crucible issue of Jump Point, I actually think that this tapered hanger was the first one they did, because later, as they showed the development of the ship, they actually, later on in its development, go back to this more box configuration. And they specifically say the reason they went this direction from a design aesthetic way is it felt more utilitarian. And that's the vibe they want from this ship. Now, I will point out that was all in like 2015. They, I'm sure, have changed their minds. Maybe they've gone back to that alternate taped hanger. We'll just have to see how that works out. But I just wanted to make that known. That's why I have both examples up here. So this is the Crucible with the hanger attached. You'll see there are 4 robotic arms in the hanger that can come out and repair, which probably means that's why the bridge of the ship is so large. You're probably going to need to have a lot of robot repair arm terminals. Yes, there is sort of a ramp there at the front. Maybe that will be so that you can land surface side and have ground vehicles drive up in there for repair services. The alternate of that, so let me switch here. So here's another color variant of it that I was messing with. But so here's our hangered Crucible. Now, another thing, another configuration that this ship can do is no hanger. Okay, so which looks something like this. When the ship has no hanger attached, it can bring out its large capital repair arms. Those are the 2 large arms you see unfolding there out of the 2 port and starboard nacelles. So those arms can come out and repair large capital ships. You've probably seen some concept art of the Crucible actually repairing an Idris. It's a really cool painting, and it's doing it in this configuration. If you look really carefully, I know it's hard to see on this, when the Crucible spins back around, you will actually see pressurization doors that can close to completely seal off the main part of the ship from the Scarab when the Scarab detaches. How that would work, I have a little animation I can play here just for, again,
Hey,
additional visuals. Go ahead, Ender.
can I ask
Yep.
a question? Uh, you said that this has a drone control room, right?
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't have drones listed. Now,
Correct.
what are these circles in the center of the spinning wings, for lack of a better term, right now? On the sides here, they look like they are about drone size, almost like
Yeah.
a drone
So
door.
um, those are essentially look to be storage canisters, from the best I can tell. And those storage canisters, I think, are specifically for fuel, and like maybe
Okay,
some other materials. I
gotcha.
didn't find anywhere on the ship where there's any sort of drone launching bay or any sort of deployment thing. Now, again, this is a really old concept. I'm almost positive if they want this thing to support drones, it's going to go through a heavy redesign phase. So I would think they need to add that.
So VGZ asked, will the Crucible have a large tractor beam to pull in disabled ships?
Nothing's listed, but I would assume so. Yeah, yeah. And we know they're working on ship-based tractor beams. CIG just showed Origin 315, I think, with the tractor beam on the nose, even just recently, and one of its Inside Star Citizens late last year. So
Okay.
we know ship-based tractor beams are coming. I personally think we're going to get them in 318 or maybe 317, just in time for the cargo refactor. But yeah. Um, I'll pull up another visual here. This kind of gives you an idea of a crucible detaching from its hangar. Hangar detaches. Crucible would deploy its capital repair arms. It can rotate its engine so that it can actually fly forward or backwards. I've had people try to correct me on which direction the Crucible flies. It actually can fly any damn direction it wants to. Its engines are actually fully rotatable. And there's concept art stating that fact. It shows the Crucible flying backwards and forwards and all that. So that's actually one really neat feature about the Crucible is that it's pretty flexible in how it's deployed and all that stuff. Um, so real quick, Starlet Ender, thoughts on the Crucible in general? Obviously, I would say I put this ship in like Endeavor territory where it's just really far out, primarily because it's a complicated ship. It's a very complicated ship.
Yeah, I think we probably see it when capitals come into the game, right?
Yep.
Um, the Endeavour is going to come after what live, whatever that is. It's going to be one of the last ships. I
Yeah.
think we'll get it before the Endeavour, but I don't know how far before. Again, this is what we know so far from the concepts and concept art. People can take a lot of liberties when they do that at CIG. Um,
Yeah.
so we can expect a full, redesign of this thing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see what they've done so far and the concepts behind the ship.
Yeah, and you can see here, this is early CIG. I wouldn't even call this white boxing. I would call this very essentially just block out. You can see here them blocking out the Crucible. I think this video is from, Chat can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's from 2015. Um, but what you can see, and it's actually a pretty long video. If you're interested in the Crucible, go find this video. It's one of their ship shape episodes, I believe. But
Yeah.
they really spend a good 40, 45 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes or so. It's a good amount of time walking through the Crucible with the ship designer here as he goes through all aspects of it. They also get to, and they're showing block out here, showing usable spaces and trying to work within certain metrics. The metrics have changed since then, but they also then start to show more developed white boxing of the ship. Again, the Crucible, much like the Starliner and other ships that are very early like this, will definitely go through a redesign. I actually think a little differently than probably most people out there in that I hope they don't try to change the ship too much to make it fit some Anvil design language, maybe a little bit, but I think it's okay that certain ship manufacturers have a different look and feel with certain ships, Like for example, the Reclaimer doesn't really look like any other Aegis ship, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, so the Crucible, I mean, this is going to be the premier ship if you want to do game, this sort of repair gameplay that we talked about earlier in the show. You're going to, I would imagine, if you look at, let me pull that back up. Stand by.
I
If you,
want to say that they might actually have more repair ships in the future that we haven't seen yet. So there could be a capital one.
yeah,
Um, there could be some a tiny one. There could be some more repair ships in the sort of middle field.
yeah.
We just don't know.
I think
Yeah.
it's almost a definite. I think we need more repair ships and probably more ships that can do repair, rearm, refuel all in one. So right now, when you look at a lot of the ships that can do that, take like the Kraken, for example, a lot of the ships we have that can do that are large or capital ships. It would be cool to get some ships that are more medium sized that maybe could, in limited supplies, of course, restock, rearm, refuel. You know what I mean? I think that would, or sorry, repair, rearm, refuel. Or maybe it's
Yeah.
a rearm, refuel ship. You know what I mean? A pure logistics ship that can't repair but can do those other two functions. I think that'd be really cool. I think there's a hole in the ship lineup for that stuff. So, um, cool. So that is the repair ships. Again, we wanted to highlight those two ships because, again, they are essentially they are the repair gameplay loop outside of like the multi-tool and doing smaller things. This is how we're going to experience that repair gameplay that we went through at the beginning of this show. Ultimately, I think this sort of repair is still a long way off, but I don't think it's out of mind because um, if you look on the progress tracker, there's a deliverable called I think it's called physicalized damage and breakability, and CIG has stated that that is kind of the first system that will go in that will be part of this, and physical damage and breakability has finished its work. I think they finished it last. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it finished it like November or something. So
Maybe
yeah,
a precursor to salvage as well. So
I think it is. Yeah,
Could be.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Starlet. Fist to face dropping by. Fist, hope you're well. Salute to you, buddy. But yes, I think you're right, Starlet. I think that's the impetus for that work happening. But like I said, if we go back to that very first thing I said, I think it was literally the first sentence I said on repair. Says this is from CIG. It says Star Citizen's repair system works in conjunction with the engine's detailed damage model, and I think that's going to play right into that physical damage and breakability stuff that we've heard about. That in turn filters into that time to die stuff we talked about with ships just not going kaboom. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah. Jimmy De La Roche says, great stream. Love getting into inner details of the actual game itself. Jimmy, appreciate it. That's what we try to do here at Starjump Station. We really try to hone in on a topic and really focus on it. So we're really glad you enjoyed it. I know we had a lot of people come over for some Subliminals channel. Um, Real quick, I know the show's getting long. I wanted to, real quick, before we wrap it up and do our kind of end of show announcements, I did want to remind everyone of our giveaway. Definitely get in on that if you're interested. We'll be giving away an Elgato Stream Deck. All you got to do is follow this channel. So just hit the follow, and then next month we'll be giving one of these away on Ender's channel, and you'll be able to follow over there. So you really get 2 chances to win one of these.
Two chances.
And we don't have thousands of followers, so your chances aren't too bad.
Not bad at all.
so
No.
so definitely hit follow if you're interested in that. You can use it for more than streaming, by the way. You can program all kinds of stuff in this. Okay, so that's our giveaway. One other thing I wanted to talk about before I let Starlet and Ender free for the night. They've been really gracious to hang out for a long episode, but I wanted to talk about the roadmap. We're just going into 2022. We just saw the release of 316, which was kind of a light patch. We know 317, 318 are currently on the roadmap for release, obviously, Q1, Q2 of this year. I have displayed here the 4 ships kind of scheduled with that as of currently: Scorpius and Hull A for 317, Hull C and Vulture for 318. But what I wanted to ask both of you, and Starlet, let me start with you. What do you think we're going to see for the rest of the year, or what are you hoping we see from CIG for the rest of the year? Both gameplay systems, mechanics, quality of life things, ships. Are there any, top 3 sort of standout things that you want to see um, that kind of will keep the Star Citizen momentum alive and help Star Citizen end with another great year? Because obviously they had a great year this year with funding and stuff. What do you think are the things we need to see, and what are the things that you personally want to see going forward? And on this roadmap, by the way, I did put Invictus, Alien Week, CitizenCon, and IAE because those are typically times where we see things happen. So,
Starlet, I'll
Yeah.
leave this open for you first, and I will follow up with the end of that.
Sure. Um, I think salvage will probably get pushed again. If
yeah,
history is anything to go by, but I think physicalized cargo is probably the big thing for the year.
yeah,
Um,
the whole
and
cargo
that'll keep the
refactor.
combat people happy. That'll keep the cargo people happy. That'll keep the pirate people happy. Plays into the current kind of game that the alpha is right now, which is very different to the end game of Star Citizen. So yeah, I think they'll work around meshing. Who knows if they'll get? Who knows if we'll experience anything from that um, this year? Maybe we will. And I'm sure they'll keep working away at the Gen 12 stuff and performance and things. Again, no idea if we'll actually experience that as a difference yet or not. I think cargo refactor is the big thing for this year.
Okay, cool. Any ships you're hoping to see release this year?
Yeah, Javelin, of course.
Well, of course, best ship in the verse, of course. I We'll learn next time not to ever doubt it.
Yeah, that's a question you never have to ask. It's always javelin.
CIG, if any of you are lurking in the channel, I'm telling you, Starlet is an amazing community member, and I think there should be a Starlet skin in the game for the Javelin. She is
Yes,
your biggest, one of your
1000%.
biggest cheerleaders for the Javelin. She's all about the Javelin. It's a big moneymaker
Yeah,
for,
I'll
yeah, let's make it happen.
I'll I'll paint myself orange. No, I'll paint myself the Javelin skin color.
There you go.
Oh yeah, and now they're going to make it orange.
Yeah.
Oh, no, no, not orange.
Uh,
Please.
Okay.
Fixing my camera.
Well, let's send it over to Ender. Ender, thoughts? What do you want to see, and what do you think the Star Citizen needs to see?
Scorpius is what I'm stupid amounts of excited to see.
Yep.
Obviously, as soon as I can get my wife a computer that will play it, she will be able to gun on my Scorpius. What they need to see, I know it's going to get pushed. I'm fully aware, but I really do think that salvage needs to get in this game before Q4, before the end of the year, or I should say by Q4. Because salvage gameplay is something a lot of people are really wanting to see. And I think if they want a successful year, getting salvage in there and actually having it working, having it running, um, it's important. And if they can get it by 318, the way they're saying they currently are, then we're looking at something really, really good for the year. It's going to be rough. We all know it will be rough, but having it will be kind of a breath of fresh air for a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And I should
Go ahead,
add,
Starlet.
I think, I think at CitizenCon 2022, I think we'll probably see Pyro and PTU, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah. I Ender, did you have anything else you wanted to add to your?
No.
Okay.
That's it.
I personally am and I know this is probably the most obvious thing in the world, but I'm probably most excited for server meshing, but not necessarily for the reasons of bigger player counts or any of that thing. I'm ready to go to a new system. I want something. I want to explore new worlds, you know what I mean? And I am really excited for Pyro. I think being able to jump from one system to the next is going to be another one of those moments in Star Citizen, I hope, that is very much like when you go to the surface of a planet for the first time with no loading, or anything like that, where you go, where you just kind of like push back from your keyboard for a minute and go, whoa, you know what I mean? So I'm really hoping for that. I am very excited for 318. That's sort of the patch I've been really waiting for. I know a lot of people were excited for medical and things like that, and loot and physicalized inventory and stuff. But 318 is really the patch I've been kind of eyeballing as of now.
Yeah.
Salvage gameplay, cargo refactor, big fans of both of those. I'm ready to get into that. For ships, I'm it's a really exciting year for me for ships because I'm pretty sure my daily flyer is going to release in quarter 3. I do think the Corsair, the Drake Corsair, will release in quarter 3 if they stick to the current progress tracker timeline on it. It is in upstream development teams right now, but I think in August it goes to the downstream teams for like a month. That's really perfect for a CitizenCon release time period, that quarter 3 patch. And they've stated that that's about the time when they want to release server meshing and Pyro. And that's the perfect ship to go into Pyro with, in my opinion. It's not
Yep.
only is it a Corsair type explorer, but Pyro is a pirate system, and the Corsair is kind of a pirate explorer ship. So it's really the perfect ship to go into Pyro with. I think it's going to be my new daily driver. I'm really excited for the Corsair, so I'm very excited about that. And then last but not least, I've said it a billion times, and Starlet knows very well because I bought one from her. I do think the Nautilus has the potential to come out this year. I really do. I think it could be a quarter 3, quarter 4 ship. But all of the road blockers for the Nautilus will be finished by, I think it's currently listed as September. The last road blocker for the Nautilus is done. So I would like to see it in the game. So, and I will say, I don't know if he's lurking, but I did make a post on Twitter about the Nautilus getting in game late this year, and I will say Paul Jones from CIG did like the post. So probably doesn't mean anything, but I'm going to read way too much into it because that's my
That
right.
probably
And
doesn't mean anything,
and I'm just going to
but there's
assume that's what he
forever
meant.
hopeful.
Okay.
Your
Um,
favorite ship.
yeah, I think mind gameplay is going to be really cool because I love it because so many people kind of keep saying, "Oh, I don't see how this is going to be the most useless ship in the verse." People have found a way to make that A2 fun, so I have a feeling people are going to find a way to make these damn mines fun, especially 24 size 5 mines. Yeah, I think people will find a way. Um, okay,
Well, it'll
that's.
be
Go ahead, Starlet.
it'll be to size up. They're not going to be size 5 mines, surely. Surely
Well, no,
they'll
they're currently listed as size 5. I made a whole post on Spectrum about the Tefrahome. It's called the Tefrahome mine.
like the
I made this
Atlas
whole
is going up. Sorry, the
yeah.
Polaris is going up. The
I
BMM's gone
I've
up
already made
enormously.
this huge post of
It's
why the mine should be size 7. We'll see. We'll see. It got a lot of traction, but we'll see. Um, all right, everyone. This was a long episode. Before we wrap it up, I have a few kind of last end of episode sort of announcements for me, and I think Ender has one.
Yep.
Absolutely. Do not forget the giveaway. We really want to kind of make it a big giveaway year for Starjump if we can, with ships and other things. Our merch store is going to be reactivated, and we're going to have T-shirts we can start giving away. I'm wearing a Starjump shirt right now, so we're working on that. The Elgato Stream Deck, all you got to do is follow. So just follow the channel, and you're automatically entered to win. I'm going to give it away at the end of January, probably on the last Starjump station of January. I'll give it away.
Hmm.
And big thanks to all of the Starjump fans and all of our Starjump community. Thank you so much for the support. Again, we really could not do it. I think myself and I think Ender would probably agree with me that
100%.
we've seen a big uptick in just when we just stream random things, people joining in and being part of it. And it's just been really cool to see. I mean, I was streaming Phasmophobia the other day and had 15 people in there, which usually
Yeah.
Phasmophobia kills a stream immediately.
Immediately.
But it was really cool to see our Starjump community
Yeah.
hang out with us for that stuff, whether I'm doing behind the scenes stuff on the Fleet Viewer project or Ender's streaming Star Citizen or other gameplay or doing his Saturday night D&D charity stuff and his, Movember and all that. It has just been a big uptick in support, and we really appreciate it. And we're thinking of ways to kind of
Give
help
back.
reward you all for that support.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say is that me and Ender have been actively talking about it. We need to get together with Starlet and kind of formulate plans, but we really want to do a digital Starjump Bar Citizen. Where we can get just all of our community members in a big old channel, play some party games, and have some lively discussion. Maybe we'll get lucky and some CIG folks and other folks from the community will show up and join in. So we are working on that. Ender, you had
okay.
a couple little things here at the end, right? About Driz
I
and
did. I
okay.
did. So Drisloth, my wonderful, wonderful, amazing, much better half. That's her Twitch channel. She is an artist. She has recently started painting Star Citizen ships. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit here. There we go. This is an Anvil Arrow that she painted recently. And she also has a, gotta be real careful. Let's see. There we go. Raven, Saber Raven, that she's doing at ArtCorp. Sorry for the green being missing. It is, after all, a green screen. Anyway, go give her a follow, give her some support. She's doing some really, really amazing work, and I really appreciate um, everything that the Starjump community in general has done to support her. It's really helping her anxiety. We will be doing a lot with charities this year. We've had a really big uptick in interest in the charity side, and I really appreciate that from you guys as well. So we will absolutely be doing more for that. So yeah, that's all I've got.
Cool.
Before we go, just something
Yep, go ahead.
really left field, truth or dare kind of thing. Indulge me. I need to tell a stupid joke.
Okay.
When do you know the moon has had enough to eat? When it's a full moon.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I
Well
like it.
done.
My
Well
task
done.
is done. Thank you.
Everyone, I will go ahead and announce as well. I might be a little premature with this, but next Friday, we're going to try to have Joran of Yacht Club on.
Yeah.
I know he's been pretty slammed. We were going to try to get him on for this episode, but we will, try to get him on for next one, and we'll formulate what the show topic is. Again, join our Discord. And join our YouTube or subscribe to our YouTube channel. All these, if you missed half of this episode or something, we always put, the episode up there the next day or something. Cool. Real quick here, let me have.
So Grim, I have.
Can you type that out and send it to me, Ender?
Yeah. Here,
Try
just
it.
type.
For some reason, when I type it, it's not popping up.
Yep. Here I can't send it there because the damn underscores. Yep. I can actually type it, so I'm going to go ahead and moderate that if you're okay with it.
Go ahead and do it.
We are going to raid somebody who is kind of new to streaming, but a super great guy.
He rated me the other night too, randomly. That was awesome.
He did. Super nice guy, and just really enjoys playing Star Citizen, and is all around fun to chat with. So I hope you guys enjoy him.
Give him,
Bye, everyone.
when you go over, give him some Starjump love. Bye, everyone. Salute to you. Thank you for showing up tonight. We really appreciate it, and have a good one. We'll see you on the next Starjump Station.
See you soon.
Cool. All right. Are we open?
Did it? No. Is it? Have you rated? It's not giving me the raid now option because my Twitch just froze.
No raid yet. Okay, stand by, everyone.
Stand by. Let me.
20 seconds left.
Yep. I have to retype it. I'm sorry, everyone. Here we go. Now we're doing it.
Awkward.
We're getting there.
Yes,
we already have a raid in progress. It says, all right, gotta go, gotta wait. We're ready to raid. 1
this
second.
Is that
10.
Awkward moment.
Raid now.
9. 8.
There we go.
Good Lord. It froze on me.